Good evening, everybody. I'm Shay Ali here with you on Inspired Stage Online. And this evening, I've got for you the lovely Jerry Sargeant. Now, if you've not met Jerry before, he's been a very regular feature in a lot of our Mind, Body, Spirit exhibitions here in the UK. And he's founded a very unique method of healing called Star Magic Healing. So he's been doing that for a while. So we'll ask him a bit more about that, obviously. But the reason I invited him to be on the show was a friend of mine recently had some private sessions with him. And when you notice that real change in someone for something that, to some people doesn't make a lot of sense, remote healing. And for those of you that are more open-minded, you can really dig into the blessings of that. And I was just, so filled with love for this man, actually, because, I can see how much it impacted my friend. And I thought, well, let's get to meet him and share him with my audience as well. So thank you for coming along tonight, Jerry. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you for having me, Shay. It's an honor. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
It's an honor for me too. And I'll start with the question that I ask all our speakers first, which is, if you had to share your wisdom with the world in a nutshell, what would you say?
In a nutshell, I would say that you are super powerful, that you have so much knowledge, wisdom, and potential locked inside of you. And if you're brave enough to take that inward step and to keep journeying and keep digging and to keep uncovering, diving deep into that cosmic heart of yours, you are going to discover so much about yourself and unleash so much inner potential, magic, wisdom, whatever you want to call it. And within that, you are going to realize that everything you see in the external world around you is not all that it seems. And it's like someone draws the curtains back and you get to see the characters behind the play and you get to see the truth beyond the illusion. And when you discover your power and you couple that with the fact that, you've stripped away what you thought was real, believed was real, it puts you into a whole new paradigm. And you've got all of this energy at your disposal. And you realize that you're free, that you're a divine sovereign being, and you've got this whole infinite worldly playground, and not just worldly, but cosmic, universal playground to kind of run around and enjoy. And you can just go wild and just have fun. It's like a little kid, in a sweet shop or waiting for Santa to come down the chimney at Christmas. You've just got all of this stuff that is new to you, and you just want to dive into it and explore it and play with it. And it is an infinite journey that just takes you into places that you just never knew existed. And I anyone that travels this journey of the heart, I take my hat off to. I salute you. I respect you, because it's a journey for the brave. But be brave enough to take that first step.
I love it. Okay. So in order to engage with that power, because that's the first concept that you mentioned there, there's a lot of people right now that are not doing that, obviously. But what is that first step that someone can take? I'll give you an example. A lot of people right now are on furlough, and redundancy is something I get asked about a lot. I'm just about to be, no, not me, but one is about to be made redundant, and they're maybe not feeling at their best right now. So what can you tell them could be that powerful first step to engage with that power?
I feel that it's a number of things, okay? Like the lifestyle that I live, like Star Magic, it's not just a healing modality, it's a lifestyle. And if you really want to be, your very best version, then what you've got to do is you've got to bring a lot of elements into the equation. And the ultimate goal really is to kind of harness all of your energy. And the way you do that is to stop living in the future, stop dwelling on the past, and to enter the present moment. And to do that, a number of things are necessary. I mean, meditation is one thing. Deep breath work is another. Exercise is another. Clean eating. Bring these elements together in the correct formula, and you will start to drill deeply into the present moment, and your heart is a gateway. It's a stargate to the present moment. And once you start to harness this present moment, and you start to observe life instead of get caught up in the chaos and the mayhem externally, you start to create space. And once you start to create space, you can see things from a clearer perspective. Like most people in this reality, they're reacting to life. Most people are running programs and patterns. Most people are living life in their head, bouncing around. I mean, the average human has 60 to 90,000 thoughts every single day running around in their head. And most of those thoughts are the same thing. They'll wake up tomorrow and it'll be the same 60 to 90,000 thoughts, because they're running these patterns and programs. Once you start to utilize meditation, deep breath work, you start to eat clean, you balance your brain chemicals, you start to exercise, utilizing these ways of being in this world, these different exercises that are at our disposal, and they're free. We only need our body and ourselves to do them. You start to enter the present moment. And when you do that, you move from here down into your heart. And then what happens is you create space between you and your external environment. Because most people living in their heads have a 0.25 second window between stimulus and response. So if something negative happens in their external reality, there's a bulletin on the TV, COVID-19, Black Lives Matter, all this madness that's going on at the moment. People are like, oh my God, my world's caving in. Look at America, look at their craziness, look at this and look at that. And oh my God, the world's falling apart. But when you're in your heart, you observe all of this stuff and you don't think these things. You observe them and you think, okay, this is happening, that's going on. I'm going to respond. I'm not going to react, I'm going to respond. And the way that I'm going to respond is to smile, open my heart, love myself, and just be in this situation and observe it without getting involved in it mentally, emotionally. And you've got that space because you're in your heart. There is no 0.25 second window between stimulus and response. There are no reactions. There's just observation. There's no judgment. And you start to step back and you start to see life completely differently. And when you have all of this space, you start to make better choices, better decisions. The action that you take is in the right direction. It's in the direction of your dreams. It's in the direction that your life compass wants to take you in your heart. You don't want to, live other people's dreams anymore and engage in other people's drama. You just want to make conscious choices that make the world a better place and make your life a better place.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think, this is a slightly controversial question maybe, but do you think there are some dreams that are too big? So the example that I use when I ask this nature question is, I'm a British citizen, and if my dream was I want to live in the White House, is that realistic? Could I make it happen?
I feel that, everything is possible. I've only got to look at my own life. If I go back 16 years ago, I was selling drugs. I was smuggling drugs. I was involved in a lot of high profile crime, bank fraud, all sorts of things. Now I'm traveling the world, speaking to thousands of people and changing their lives and helping them discover their own power. I mean, first of all, I wouldn't have even thought that any of this stuff was even a reality. I mean, God, spirit, the universe. I didn't know about any of this stuff 16 years ago. If I go back another kind of 10 years, I was a drug addict. I was an alcoholic as a teenager. My whole life just spiraled out of control. I was in the gutter. I mean, when I was 24, 25 years old, maybe 26, I lost a business. And I was out on the street with my ex-wife and children, 2 young kids, no money, no nothing, in the gutter. And then that happened again later on in my life. It's actually happened 3 times. It happened previous to that too, but it wasn't as bad. But, I've been down into the gutter 3 times, stripped of everything. And now I have an amazing business. I meet many people from all walks of life, traveling the world. Every couple of weeks we're in a different country. My life's amazing. And I get to change and transform the lives of loads of other amazing people. So for me, everything's possible. When I started this journey, I had an encounter with some extraterrestrials, and they told me that I was going to be building healing centers around the planet, spread around the Christ consciousness grid of Mother Earth. And I was like, what? you know, and literally last year, you know, 4 years on from when they told me this, we bought our first 49 acres of land.
Wow.
Next week, we're buying another 10 acres in Romania. We're starting to acquire the land for these healing centers now, to build these fully sustainable communities all around the grid, you
Mhm.
know. So anything's possible, you know,
Yeah.
if you commit to it. Like, I mean, I resisted this journey for a long time, being a criminal and then waking up and starting to have conversations with angels and extraterrestrials, and, you know, starting to heal people with energy and remove tumors and heal eyesight and all this sort of stuff. I mean, it's worlds apart.
Mm.
You know, I went through a transitionary process to get there, but if I can change and change my reality from that to this, then anybody can change.
Mm.
It doesn't matter where you are. When people say to me, "Oh, you know, but I had a hard life and I had this and blah blah blah," I'm like, I don't even want to hear it. You know, I was fostered and adopted as a kid. You
Wow.
know, I had lots of traumatic things happen to me in my childhood. You know, but I'm here smiling, loving life, and if I can do it, anyone can. You know, anyone. So they're just excuses, you know.
It's given you a great background to actually do this work, you know, because you can meet them in that place. I'm fascinated as to how the process actually works. You know, if someone were to ask you, okay, how is it similar to, say, Reiki or theta healing or any of the other healing modalities out there? How does it actually work? Because I know you train people up in star magic healing as well.
Yeah, I mean, star magic itself isn't really a system. It's not a modality. When we go into a healing session, we don't think, okay, like Reiki, you get the symbols, you work with chakras, all of this sort of stuff. We don't work like that. What we do is we play with the geometrical information in the empty space.
Mm.
So if someone comes to me and says, Jerry, I've got this problem, I've got this illness, whatever it is, we'll connect at a certain time. All of our work's done remotely.
Mhm.
And I'll tune into their space. I'll enter their space. You know, time, distance, and measurement are all illusory in the quantum field, so everything's available.
Mm.
Now, the first thing that I do is I ask a question, and that question is, please show me something I don't know to help me facilitate the healing of this incredible human being. And then what happens, that wanting to be shown something you don't know opens you up to an infinite sea of possibilities. So I start to see information, and what I do is I start to see the information that has created the symptom. So a person's body is just a communication device. If someone has a bad shoulder, bad nose, bad liver, whatever it is, it means something. So
Mm.
all you've got to do is find out what is creating the symptom of the tumor in the liver, which is anger or guilt. So you've got to find where the anger and guilt came from. It could be from childhood, it could be from your teenage years, it could be from a past life, parallel reality. It could be from an extraterrestrial
Mm.
reality. So I'll go in and I'll bring the aspect of their soul, which has been fragmented, into healing, collapse the timeline, change the timeline, and create a new information stream.
Mm.
And that new information stream flows into the person's biological computer, their brain, their body, and they download new information, new light, new frequency, and the symptoms disappear.
Mm.
This is how it works. Like,
Wow.
if you look at a website could look red.
Mm.
You want it to be blue. So you go into the back end, or you get your web designers to go into the back end, and they change the code. And it changes from red to blue, or blue to red, or green to purple, or whatever it is, in the front end, because you change the code in the back end. And that's really what we're doing in healing. We're changing the code in the back end of someone's biological computer, their body, their mind, their brain, and the symptoms they release on the front end, because there's no trigger anymore.
Mm.
There's no cause, there's no effect.
Right. And how is it possible for people to do this for themselves as well, or do they need like a healer or a coach to be able to facilitate that process for them?
Every single person on this planet is designed to self-heal. Like, no one actually really needs me. That's the truth, you know. But some people don't know that they don't need other people, and some people don't understand how to tap their own potential.
Mm.
But every single human being has the potential, the capability to heal themselves. But we're blocking our own healing. Like, you know, if you look at a waterfall today, or a whirlpool in a stream, it looks like a whirlpool or a waterfall, and it never changes. But you've got new energy, new water, you know, fresh water running through it all the time. And me as a human, I look in the mirror, I look like Jerry. Next week I look like Jerry. You look like Shay, and in 3 weeks you look like Shay. In 2 years you look like Shay. but you're a complete new makeup of different atoms, molecules, chemicals, fibers, carbons. So the light that's traveling through us, the energy that's moving through us is consistently changing. So it's actually impossible to become ill.
Wow.
But we have a brain and we have a mind, and the brain thinks thoughts. So when a traumatic event happens in someone's life, whether it's this lifetime or a past life, they think about that, and they go into chaos inside of their own mind, inside of their own brain, and they repetitively think about it. And this could go on for 6 months, it could go on for 12 months, it could go on for 15 years, 25 years. And this period is called a refractory period. And sometimes these refractory periods last half a lifetime. And if you've been running that same pattern for 20 years, 30 years, 10 years, whatever it is, you become addicted to the chemicals that you're producing inside of your own consciousness. Because what's happening is each time you replay that event in your mind, the subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between reality and what's going on inside of your head. So it thinks it's reality. So it produces the same chemicals. So you become like a heroin addict or a crackhead, addicted to the pain and the trauma. So what we do with Star Magic is we go in and shift the trauma that is creating the actions inside of the mind and the thought processes, the belief systems, the patterns that are enabling the human to recreate the same chemicals. Once that disappears, there's no more chemical fix. It's like, taking the drug dealer away from the heroin addicts. They can't go and buy any more drugs anymore. Eventually, they're gonna become clean because they've got no more supply.
Yeah.
And they get their life back on track.
Makes sense. So let's talk about your journey, because you mentioned 16 years ago, obviously you had this shift, and you also said that initially you were quite resistant to these messages that you were receiving. So what ultimately helped you to make that shift? How did you do it?
The universe kicked me up the arse until I listened. In a nutshell, there was a whole kind of like chain of events that happened, but there were a few like more prominent ones, and it all started with a car crash. So back in 2006, I was with my ex-wife and children, and we were traveling from a place called Piatra Neamț in Romania back to Bucharest airport to get a flight home. And I was asleep in a taxi in the passenger seat, and there was a loud crash, and I woke up and there's winds, there's glass, taxis going from side to side, and I thought to myself, boy, we're in a bad accident. We're either going to hit the oncoming traffic or the car's going to flip. Wow. And then all of a sudden we came to a stop, and there was no other cars on the road. And I looked at the taxi driver, and he looked petrified. I looked in the back, and our daughter Alea, she was climbing out from underneath the driver's seat. There was no seatbelts in the cab. And Laura, my ex-wife, she had Josh, our son, in her arms, and both their mouths were full of glass. And I looked in front of me, and there was a big hole in the windscreen, and there was blood dripping down my face, but I wasn't bleeding. It wasn't my blood. I was like, this is really weird. Yeah. Then I got out of the taxi. I looked about 30 meters back up the road, and there were two ladies on the side of the road. I looked about another 100, 150 meters, and there was what looked like a dead body. And what had happened is 3 ladies were crossing the road in the morning. The first one got hit clean on by the taxi. She came through the windscreen whilst I was asleep, smacked me in the face, got flipped over the car and died. The second one had her ankles cut off, and the third one was physically okay. So I checked on my family and stuff, and then I started walking up the road, and a man had come out who was on the telephone, a mobile phone. And I assumed in my mind, like he must have called the emergency services. I'm looking at this woman, there's 2 feet on the road. I mean, what can I do? And I was just kind of fixated on this dead body. My mind was like glued to it. So I've got closer and closer to the dead body. And I got within about 10 meters, and I saw this like energy just hovering above the body. And I'm shaking my head, like, get out of my head, get out of my head. But I was opening my eyes again, and it was just still there. And at the time, I didn't know what it was, but now I know it was this lady's soul. And I got closer and closer, and then this energy like fizzled off into the ether, and it just disappeared. And by that time, I was over the lady's body. I've looked down, and her legs are wrapped up over her head. She's smashed to pieces. And it was like someone had taken an old car to the scrap heap, like this vehicle. That whatever was inside this vehicle was powering this vehicle. And now it had no use for it anymore. So it had just kind of gone on its merry way. And I looked up towards the heavens, and I was like, You know, I wanted a whiskey and a cigarette. It felt like a real like time to celebrate. And I don't like whiskey and I don't smoke cigarettes, but that's what I felt like. It was like, and the sensation was really strong. And I remember just saying, thank you. I was like, thank you. It just felt like this lady had kind of given up her life for me, like sacrificed herself to wake me up, because I was an egotistical, self-centered, selfish person that just wanted money. And I didn't care what I had to do to get that money. You know, I just wanted to have nice cars and houses and gold watches and designer suits and travel the world and fuel this crazy, great big ego that was inside of me. And, you know, I was so engrossed into this 3D reality that it took a powerful incident to wake me up. And it really was like the universe saying, come on, Jerry, wake up, man. We're atoms and molecules in continuous movement. We're space, we're energy. Look, what are you doing with your life, kind of thing. And it did. It started. I was so curious after this, and then things just started happening. I went on a whole series of experiences that came into my life, and then 4 years ago we started Star Magic. Yeah, I mean, it's been a ride, and I resisted it because I was like, my mates are going to think I'm nuts. You know, they're gonna think I'm crazy. You know, telling them about this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But shortly after this incident, my ex-missus had a headache. And I remember thinking to myself, I can take this out of your head. And I don't know why I thought it, but I did. And I walked over to her and she was lying on the bed. And I looked into her head. I could see the headache. It was green. And I just grabbed this green energy and pulled it out. And she got up off the bed like, no headache. And I was like, that's a bit weird, you know? And then like, I didn't really kind of like know how to tell people about this stuff, but things just kept happening. And in the end, I was like, you know, this stuff's real. And later on, before Star Magic, I went on this whole journey through ancient mystery schools, and they showed me how to heal with these extraterrestrial light codes that got downloaded into me through another experience. And people were coming into my life that needed healing, and I was just trying it and it was working. So I started going and seeing these people and saying, listen, will you tell people what happened on camera? Because they're going to think I'm crazy. So there was people that had cancer and tumors and cysts and various different things, and they weren't there anymore. And some people were left with scars on their body. You know, if you go to our website, starmagichealing.com, you'll be able to see these videos and these testimonials. But I was like, if I'm going to come out and tell people, I need some evidence. Otherwise, people are just going to think I'm wacky. So that's what I did. Like I went and saw people that had them, you know, amazing healing experiences, and they were happy to support the cause, and yeah, made some videos, and that's when it all started.
Wow. Well, let's ask you about sort of a business angle then. You know, if you're someone that is holding on to a dream of what you really want to do, but you still have, you know, the life that you're used to, like you did, what piece of advice would you give them to actually go do the dream rather than, you know, spend your whole life just doing, I don't know, the job that you don't love?
I mean, this is like the $1 million question or the $1 billion question, because it sets everybody free. But there is no magical formula. There is no magical recipe. And if you want to do something, you've just got to take action on it. That is it. If you really want to go and do something, if your heart is drawing you in that direction, and you feel it deeply in your soul that this is what you've got to do, but you're clinging on to this old reality through fear. But what if it doesn't work out? Or what if it does work out and I can't handle it? What if I lose all of my money? And you're clinging, you know? And if you just keep clinging, you're never going to go anywhere. I mean, what I say to people is when I leave this world, and I want to make sure that the only experience that I haven't had is dying. So when I'm about to pass back to spirit, crossover, wherever I go to next, I want to party. I want to get the tunes on. I want whoever's around, my friends then, I want to party. Crack open some wine, some champagne. Let's get up and boogie, and let's go out with a bang. You know, because I'm excited about having this experience. You see, most people are scared of death, and they never truly live. Most people are scared of losing husbands, wives, businesses, money. But they're all just material things. You know, you're not going to take them to the grave with you. So you may as well get used to just having them as an experience now. You know, most of the best inventions, the best books, the best businesses are 6 foot under in the graveyard, because people haven't got the courage to take action now because they're clinging on to the old. You know, you've got to surrender. You got to follow your life compass, and you've just got to go and do it. There is no magical formula. You've just got to go and do it, and throw caution to the wind. Like most people, they're trying to row their boat away from the harbor, but the rope is still attached to the harbor. So, you know, unless you chop that rope, like Napoleon Hill burning the bridges, going to the island to fight the battle, he burnt the bridges, so he had no choice but to succeed. That's what you've got to do. You've got to cut that rope. You've got to surrender and just let it be. Just let it be. You know, go with the flow. Take the action.
How do you know, we talk about the voice inside and listening to your heart. How do you know if that's your heart speaking, or it's your fear speaking, or maybe even some other part of yourself? Is there any way to decipher that voice?
Yeah, I mean, this is a really good question, and it's a minefield, because you've got your own thoughts, you've got thoughts of other people, you've got projections, your own projections and the projections of other people. You've got that little voice, the ego, that never wants you to change your identity, so it will always try and keep you small and keep you in fear. And then you've got that inner voice, you've got that intuition. Now, that soft voice that some people call your higher self, which I don't like to use that term. I prefer to use the term inner self, because nothing is higher than you. You know, so our inner self has a really soft, gentle, very, very subtle voice. And you have to be very still inside of yourself to be able to hear it. And sometimes, I mean, a lot of people can't hear it. So the universe will speak to you in terms of signs. You might see signs on the road, or number plates, or signs, you know, advertising signs, that they just seem to resonate with you in a different way. And if you ever have any kind of sign, whether it's an inner voice, whether it's a feeling in your heart, like some kind of knowing that you just need to do this, you've just got to go and do it. Okay? Because as soon as you have that little kind of feeling or that soft voice, there's going to be another voice straight after it. Don't do that.
Yes.
It might not work out. They're going to hate you. You're going to look stupid, whatever it is. So you've got to go with that first subtle voice, that subtle feeling, and just trust it. And it's not always going to be a pleasant ride, because your heart knows what's best for you, but it also knows that on your journey to unlocking your greatest version, you also have to face your greatest fears. And so you're going to come up against challenges and tests, and you might think, well, actually, I've followed my heart and now I'm faced with this. I don't want to deal with that. But actually, that's part of the process. Like for me, I was fostered and adopted as a kid. I was rejected. My first foster mother raped me. My adoptive mother used to beat me with a wooden ruler, pull my pants down, beat me. My first school teacher pulled my pants down in the class and beat me. So I've always felt rejection. So it was a real big thing for me. And when I was at school, I went to an all-boys school. I remember when my voice was breaking as a teenager, I had to get up in front of the whole school and tell them this story, which I was preparing for, to go to a local church to speak on a Sunday morning. Anyway, when I got up to do this speech, my voice broke and I squeaked, and the whole school laughed at me. And it just sent my rejection issues into overdrive, man. I was just like, it was chaotic. Wow. So I've had these experiences all through my life. And I remember the first time that I had to get on stage and speak to a group of people, I was sweating. Like, I was like, I can't do this, man. I can't do this. I was like, just go home, just go home. But I was like, no, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to do it. And I remember walking out onto the stage and speaking to this group of people. And I can't remember anything that I said. You know, I was so flustered and just like, but I just went through the process, and I had to face this fear to be able to do what I'm doing. So I just kept doing it and doing it and doing it. And it gets easier and easier. You've just got to face your fears. Your greatest version lives on the other side of your fears. There's no way around it. So follow your heart, allow it to take you through the process that's necessary to give you the skills, to furnish you with the skills. So once you reach this high version of yourself, you can cope in that world and in that environment. You know, there's lessons to learn along the way. There's gold to mine from every situation.
Yeah. And it's sometimes when you look back and you think, oh yeah, that's why that happened. You know.
Absolutely.
Jerry, it's been amazing to spend this time with you. Do you have any final thoughts that you'd like to share with our audience today?
I mean, I want to say thank you to you, Shay, for having me. It's been awesome to spend this time with you also. And to everyone that's listening, I would just say be brave. Okay, you are an expression of consciousness in this world, experiencing reality. You know, don't identify yourself with your experience. Know that you're an infinite being, your consciousness, your light, your love. You're just so powerful. And if you can kind of step back from your identification and observe yourself being in this world and realize it's just a crazy game that's being played and you're just a character, you know, start to play the game of life. Start to have fun with it, start to take chances and opportunities, and start to really truly live your life and thrive. You know, if you're scared of something, go for it. And remember, love is the key, love is the glue, love is the question, it's the answer, it's everything. You know, and this is inside of you. You know, love your sisters, love your brothers, realize that it doesn't matter whether you're black, white, rich or poor, yellow, green, brown, Chinese, English, Indian, whatever. We're all the same. We're sisters and brothers living on this great big green and blue ball, and we're supposed to be enjoying this process. Okay, so don't take it too seriously. Go out and have fun. And I love you.
Me too. And can you just tell everybody how they can reach out to you if they'd like to find out more or get in touch?
Yeah, I mean, our website is starmagichealing.com. And when you go there, you'll get access to YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, you know, social media, everything's there at the bottom of the website.
Fabulous. Thank you so much, Jerry. All the best. Take care of yourself, and I wish
You share.
you lots of love and lots of success with what you're doing.
Take care.